Ethan Langston had always been the kind of student professors noticed. From the day he arrived at Carlisle University as a fresh-faced engineering freshman, his meticulous lab notebooks, keen analytical mind, and late-night devotion to projects marked him as exceptional. So when Professor Arthur Langston, head of the experimental physics department, extended a personal invitation to join his top-secret research team, Ethan's pride and excitement were boundless. "You're the only one I trust with this," the professor had said, his pale blue eyes gleaming under the lab lights. "If there's anyone who can see it through, it's you." Ethan's heart had soared. He imagined himself on the brink of history, pioneering technology that would reshape humankind's understanding of reality itself. Over the next 5 years, Ethan and a handful of hand-picked students worked night after tireless night in the underground lab beneath the old physics building. Their project, a machine capable of teleporting small objects across a controlled distance, using principles that flirted with quantum entanglement and information theory. Initial tests with inert materials failed spectacularly. Objects would vanish only to dissolve into nothingness. But with each iteration, they improved the power modulation, stabilized the quantum matrix, and refined the receiver array. Finally, on a crisp autumn morning, the first apple test succeeded. A glossy red fruit disappeared on the left platform and reappeared on the right, whole and untouched. Ethan punched the air in triumph, while Professor Langston, typically reserved, allowed himself a rare smile. "Remarkable," he whispered. "Perfect. We did it." Word of their success could not remain secret for long. Within months, venture capital flooded in. The teleporter became the core of Cortec Dynamics, a spin-off that skyrocketed to fame by promising revolution in shipping, medicine, and even disaster relief. Ethan, barely 27, found himself a senior lead engineer and co-founder, bewildered by his own rapid ascent. Amid the celebrations, ribbon cuttings, press conferences, and multi-million-dollar funding rounds, Ethan felt an undercurrent of doubt. During a demonstration for live subjects, they tested Fluffy, the campus cat Ethan had known since his freshman year. The cat returned seemingly unharmed, but with a subtly altered gait and a stubbed tail that flicked in unfamiliar patterns. Ethan observed Fluffy long after the crowds dispersed. The cat's eyes, once trusting and bright, now held a distant look, as if some piece of her soul had been left on the sender platform. Team members joked about stress or anesthesia effects, but Ethan's unease grew. One sleepless night, too restless to sleep, he returned to the old physics archives, searching logs for any mention of abnormalities. That's when he found them. Corrupted data files, hastily overwritten, bearing only fragmentary notes about structural anomalies, cognitive drift, and molecular residue losses. Compelled by a mixture of dread and obligation, Ethan delved deeper. He bypassed low-level security protocols and uncovered a hidden directory titled Project Archive, Restricted. Inside were detailed reports, schematics, and videos from the secret human trial phase. The video showed volunteers stepping into the teleporter, blinking out of existence, and then reappearing on the receiving pad. But voiceovers overlaid the footage with clinical commentary. Notice the 0.3% drop in ambient temperature, molecular wear on transmitter coil, cognitive assessment scores decreasing after iteration 5. Worse still, side-by-side footage of each test subject's psychological evaluation revealed slight but progressive personality changes. Subconscious shifts in preference, memory lapses, emotional blunting. The logs concluded with a single line typed in Professor Langston's unmistakable hand: "Teleportation is a lie. The original is destroyed. Only a reconstruction is received." Ethan staggered back from his monitor. All this time, they'd believed they were sending matter. In truth, they had been disintegrating people and making copies. Imperfect copies that degraded with each use. The following morning, under the guise of routine lab work, Ethan confronted Professor Langston in his private office. The professor's face, framed by steel-rimmed glasses and streaks of premature white hair, held a calm resignation. "You shouldn't have seen that," Langston said softly, pushing his glasses higher. Ethan's hands trembled. Why? How could you keep this from everyone? From me? Langston leaned back in his chair. Because the truth is too dangerous. Once people knew the original was destroyed, they'd never trust the technology, and it would fall apart. But there's more. About you. Ethan blinked. Me? The professor stood and motioned for him to follow, leading him down a narrow corridor to a heavy steel door. Inside was a cold chamber, lined with transparent pods. In each lay a figure, younger men with faces that mirrored Ethan's own. What is this? Ethan whispered, recognizing himself in the dim glow. Langston's voice grew distant. These are failed clones. My clones, Ethan. Over decades, I tried to master perfect replication to conquer death. Each time, the memories faded, personalities fractured. It wasn't until you that I succeeded in preserving nearly all cognitive function. Ethan staggered. You mean I'm... Langston nodded. You're the next iteration, the younger version of me.